right. Darren Austin Hall here, coming to you with a critical message, as I think it is timely to dive a little deeper into some Gnostic wisdom, because right now the world is absolutely reeling. And I know a lot of people are feeling this, and a lot of people are feeling a sense of dread, of panic. And I want to provide what I feel is coming through as a very important message for right now, to help us navigate this time of holy shift that we find ourselves in. And just to build the context for what is going on right now, we are truly witnessing now a new intense stage of collapse of an old world system that is way past its expiry date, very antiquated. And of course, there's going to be inevitable shocks and discomforts as we go through this transformation. And first of all, I'd like to just instill that, and hearkening to the great eco-spiritual philosopher Joanna Macy, who spoke a lot about this time that we're in, which she called the Great Turning. If you know Joanna Macy's work, she always disseminated her ideas with this absolute radiant joy, this defiant hope, what she called active hope. And she really embraced the mystery of these times, that we don't know exactly what is going to happen. And this is to highlight that mystery is actually something very constructive, because we are actually entering into a phase of things now where we are actually being offered to take more sovereignty and control of the situation. The system that we've lived in has set up this kind of authoritarian world order where we are submissive to the dictates of our politicians, to our leaders. And now with the expose of the Epstein files, we now know that leadership is utterly compromised. And what this is turning to is, it is time for us to step forward, to be more creative, to be more visionary, and to get our shit together. Because in these intense transformational times, if our beingness, our inner being, is off center, off kilter, we are going to be ravaged by the intensities that are besetting us. So I want to give a really inspiring message here today. And I want to hearken to the Gnostic wisdom that I've been studying for well over a decade, because a lot of this ancient wisdom has been highly suppressed. And it is now reflowering in this, what I call the Gnostic Renaissance, this time of re-engaging what the ancients knew, our mystical ancestors who paid a high price for going against the grain, for resisting, for protesting against this very ancient tyrannical system that has slowly been strangling like a vice the true beauty and virtue of our humanity. If there's something that I've learned from studying the Gnostic wisdom, is that they center very clearly what is divinely intelligent about humanity. They're very specific on certain abilities that we have that have not been put into focus in our modern world. In fact, they've been hidden from our view. Just the whole notion that we have divine intelligence is something that many people are ignorant of, but this is what the Gnostics called the nous, which is a Greek word. And we're all endowed with this. The human species is actually profoundly brilliant. And you're seeing this come on to the scene right now with this great awakening that is happening. And with the age of Aquarius that is burgeoning, there is a sacred rebellion happening where people are pushing back against the bullshittery, against the illusions, against the lies, against the deception. And there's a ferocity to it. There's a righteous anger to it as well, because we're realizing for how long we've been controlled, manipulated, and enslaved to a system that goes against our best interests, that distorts our nous, our divine intelligence, and takes us off track from the proper unfoldment of our evolutionary potential. One of the key things that the Gnostics explain is that they say humanity's nous has different elements to it. And one of the most profound elements to our divine intelligence is known as epinoa. And epinoa translates as imagination, but you could even further that to mean moral, creative imagination. I'm going to read a quote by John Lamlash, who's an amazing Gnostic teacher. He says from his book, Not in His Image, Gnostics explicitly warned that the archons, who are these interdimensional beings who are predating on humanity, that have been possessing a lot of the leadership of these elites on the planet, the Gnostics explicitly warned that the archons work through a salvationist religion to deviate us from our proper course of evolution, our share in Sophia's correction, Sophia being the earth goddess, who is our universal mother. They do this, Gnostics claim, because they envy us, which is very interesting, because even in the salvationist religion texts, like the story of Genesis in the Old Testament, the New Testament, they talk about the satanic force being envious of humanity. The archons lack both enoa, which is singular intentionality, and epinoa, moral creative imagination. And they want to have this specific endowment of ours to assimilate or steal it. So we see this playing out in the world right now because the media, Hollywood, the wood of the holly is how the Druids used to cast their magic spells. The media and the Hollywood, this is all a system of mind control to actually create a submission of our imaginative visioning powers. So we outsource them to just watching other people's imaginings of the world. We see this in the news all the time. The news is perpetually trying to direct us into thought forms, often of fear that paralyzes us. This negative doom gloom narrative that the news perpetually perpetrates upon us. It is time for us to actually break free from all of that and to spend more time in willful imaginations, visionings of the world that we want to live in. We need to spend time really with those imaginative faculties. Here's another beautiful quote. Heretical Gnosticism teaches that the talent of imagination is central to the divine birthright of the human species and must be owned lest it be lost or worse, co-opted and deviated toward non-human designs. Moreover, imagination is integral to the human bond with the earth goddess Sophia and even plays a role in her transhuman process of correction, realignment to the galactic center, the pleroma. The pleroma is the galactic center of our galaxy, the central sun, the central star, where the aeons, the gods and goddesses, were said to reside. Sophia used to live there. That's where she created the anthropos, humanity. And then she decided to leave the pleroma, went into this whole cosmic drama to give us a habitable planet to live and to support us in unfolding evolutionarily in the appropriate way. So imagination plays a very key role. And right now, I'm sure a lot of us are probably not using our imaginative faculties all that much. We're allowing the media, the news, to throw these thought forms into our own imagination. And that catalyzes in us, stimulates us thinking about all these, doomy and gloomy scenarios. I know I've had my own struggles with this. You know, you get onto the news, oh my God, there's going to be energy lockdowns, this war in the Middle East, nuclear Armageddon. And then all of a sudden your imagination is being jogged to be directed into a certain way. But what if we were to extract all of that attention back, spend time throughout our day, when we're in meditation, when we're in prayer, where we start to imagine, what would this world be like if it was beautiful, if humanity was unleashed in its full powers of creativity? We need to spend more time thinking about this. So there's an energy crisis, the oil system, which is enslaving us to the petrol dollar. Well, how about imagining a world where these free energy devices that we know these governments have in their black projects, start imagining that they get freed, that they get liberated. Start imagining even that this whole alien agenda that is probably going to be unfolded throughout this year, imagine that the beneficial star family comes and helps us and supports us. Imagine that. Imagine a world where children are free and properly educated in communities that from the get-go of their birth are cultivating their beautiful virtue. Imagine a world where men and women heal this ancient gender war and actually start to cooperate together and build what's known as a Gaelic culture, where men and women realize we have these beautiful complementary forces. And when we plug them in together in true equanimity and disrupt patriarchy, which has set up this unnatural hierarchical dominator system, when we disrupt that, when the divine feminine rises, the divine masculine humbles itself in a beautiful way and they plug into each other, imagine the beautiful communities that can thrive. Spend time imagining these things. You know, the first time I ever drank ayahuasca, many years ago in Toronto, I was shown a very profound vision of the astral realm, which is the fourth dimension. The astral realm is said to be a canopy over our world. And this is the realm where thoughts become thought forms, where imagination really exists and starts to orchestrate the quantum realm to then pour into and flow into the physical third dimension. I was shown an image of the astral realm, and it was a barren realm. It was like a desert. And what Mother Ayahuasca told me was that these negative influences, whether we want to call them the demonic, the archons, nothing to fear. These are really nuisances, troublesome beings that envy us, that are trying to take us off our track. And I just want to preface that one of the great themes in the mystery schools is that humanity is destined to overcome all of this because we are so much more brilliant than these adversaries that are besetting us. What Mother Ayahuasca told me is the astral realm we've been exiled from it. The natural mysticisms of our ancestors, all these great mystical spiritual traditions that are now reflowering have for thousands of years been cut off from view. The mystics have been persecuted, have been punished, have been silenced, have been censored, so that humanity has not had the means to practice their metaphysical skills, to evolve their mystical powers. And what this has set up is an enslaved system where we're absolutely sedentary, submissive, to then allow these elites that are possessed to then take control of the mystical realm, throttle us with the mysticisms of the media, with the thought forms of movies and films, indoctrinating us over and over again. What Mother Ayahuasca was saying, that we need to start engaging the astral realm, start creating beautiful thought forms, start gardening, as I call it, the psychic garden of these thought forms each and every day. Give your attention to them. Be in this exhilaration and joy. One of the most powerful things I like to do is I like to listen to music that I love, that really gets me on a vibrational level, gets me going. And then I dream the world that I wish to live in. I dream my own personal life coming into accomplishment, coming into greater service to the greater whole. We need to spend more and more time doing this. I'll read another quote. This is from Barbara Messiniak, who channels part of our star family, which are known as the Pleiadians. And this is on imagination as well. So this is the Pleiadians speaking through Barbara to us. We remind you that you create your own reality and that the collective anger you feel has to do with the discrediting of your imagination. Feel that for a few moments. Imagination is the key to brilliance, to unifying conceptualizations, and to bringing ideas into manifestation. When was the last time you were encouraged on a regular basis to invest in your own imagination? You rob yourselves of the inherent qualities through which you can save yourselves, change yourselves, and redefine freedom. Imagination is indeed a ticket to ride on the mercurial carnival of Earth. I love that. So, and I'm going to read another quote. This is from John Lam Lash. Women and men of ancient times who learned and taught the sacred story of Sophia considered that its ending was to be brought about, although not entirely determined, by the relationship between the wisdom goddess and humanity. And remember, the wisdom goddess is Earth. We are living not only in the body of our planetary mother, we're living in her light-bodied soul, her anima mundi. In one sense, Sophia is the savior of humanity because she endows the human species with a special power, epinoa, by which it can realize its unique role in her life process. Epinoa is imagination. This is the faculty humans need to engage consciously in Sophia's correction or reharmonization. the process of her realignment to the cosmic source from which she drifted by projecting herself into the emergent human world prematurely and without a consort, a cosmic counterpart. In other words, Gaia Sophia depends upon humanity to claim and evolve its own innate potential so that she can attain her own desire. Success in a planetary experiment where the anthropos, divine humanity, manifests the full range of talents endowed in it by the wisdom goddess and her consort Telete. So just some more powerful revelations from you, from our ancient mystical ancestors, of how important imagination is. I know it's very trying times, and a lot of us are feeling it. I mean, I'm going to be touring this summer, and I'm like, my God, should I be touring around the world? And I'm trying to really disrupt the victimization of that. And I'm trying to sit and imagine what would it happen if this was a positive scenario, where I'm touring, I'm spreading my medicines, I'm meeting other community, we're uplifting each other. Hey, if there's a lockdown and I get stuck somewhere like in Scotland, I'm going to make the best of it because we have so much support as well. Imagination needs to be used more and more every day. Please, humanity, start dreaming the world that you want to live in. Dream so strongly that you get excited, that you get joyful about it. And then allow that imagination to then compel you into the action steps that we all can take to help give birth to the prophesized new earth. This is an initiation. Adversity is needed. Challenges are beautiful ways to help us grow our soul power, to give our souls a flex, to work on these atrophied muscles, these mystical muscles that have been so atrophied for so long. And this is precisely the exact adversity that we need to be inspired into our empowerment. The last thing I want to share is I have been really doing a lot of work recently. I've had some very powerful epiphanies connecting to the Earth Goddess, to the Divine Mother. I encourage you to go onto my Substack, the Re-Enchantment. You can subscribe there if you like. I recently wrote an article about remembering the Divine Mother and this epiphany moment I had recently where I was feeling myself in this helpless moment and I called upon her and I could feel her light being interwoven with me, centering me, bringing me to wholeness. And my prayers to the Divine Mother have been so much more galvanized in these days. We need to also empower our prayers. Pray to the resources, whatever you see the divine as, but I do want to invite and encourage praying to the divine feminine, the Divine Mother, the Mother Goddess that is the earth. She has been forgotten and she has so much support to give us. She is the one who crafted us, according to the Gnostics. So please call upon her as well. Do not fret during these times. Do not let fear paralyze you. This is precisely the moment that we have been praying for and waiting for to step into our sovereignty. We have so much brilliance. We are a very brilliant species. This is not to inflate us in some grandiose way, because our brilliance is supposed to be a utility to help this earth become even more beautiful, more virtuous, and to serve the greater good of the earth. All of our animal kin, our plant kin, the elementals, there is a role for us to play in the sacred ecology of the planet. We've exiled us from that. And I do believe as we further ourselves into this kind of technological world that is being propagated upon us, there's going to be more of a hankering, more of a desire for the analog, for the natural. Not to become Luddites and to shirk this kind of AI revolution that's in our midst, because these tools of technology in Aquarius can be highly useful to supporting human evolution when it's balanced with our time in nature, with our time realizing that we don't need to be added onto. We already have within us something innately beautiful that has been unused, and we need to spend more time bringing that out. And technology can be a means to help further that externalization, that expression of our divine powers. And may it blessedly be. I hope this message provides you with some hope. Feel free to comment away. I'll be alive in the comments. Sending you all so much love. Let us dream the new earth awake with love, with joy, with sacred rebelliousness. This is the divine time.